Hey, welcome to Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. This is a show where I talk about a lot of VHS tapes, a lot of retro movies, comics, games, the right in life, action figures, collectibles, retro hunting, and a bunch of other stuff. This week, I'm doing this live. I'm doing this live this week because, unfortunately, I just don't have time this week to give you an edited video. So, I wanted to just come on and have a chat with you about some of the VHS stories that I've found around the internet lately. So, I'm finishing up VHS Ate My Brain 2. The Revenge. And one of the things I've been doing in that is going through all the stuff that's happened over the last 10 years in terms of VHS collecting and stuff that we've seen happen to the scene. And there's been some really cool things going on. So I want to talk to you about some of the weirdest stories that I've found from this year. So this is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool little selection of things that I've found to talk to you about tonight. So yeah, there's so much going on this week. There's been more illness in the house, a bit of food poisoning going on with some people in the house. There's been half term. I've been working. We've had family visitors over. On Friday, I'm heading to Sheffield to take my youngest Joe to go and meet Cassiette, the rock singer. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that greatly. Yeah, it's just a really cool thing to be doing. But there's a lot to deal with all the time, forever. So I'm going to go and check out some of these stories that I've found while looking up what happened over the years for VHS Ate My Brain 2. These stories are all from like the first half of this year. So this is 2024 stories that have been being posted. So the first one I'm going to go to and talk to you about is this one. Over on the Guardian, experience. I own nearly 3,000 VHS tapes of Titanic. Of course, this is the dude that is trying to collect 1 million copies of Titanic, and I have no problem with that. Why not? I mean, each to their own. I would like 1 million copies of Trick or Treat, to be honest. I don't think there was actually 1 million of them ever made. But so that'd be quite a find, wouldn't it? So this dude has nearly 3,000 copies of Titanic. This is from this is from March this year. Now, when I originally found this guy for during the research for VHS Ate My Brain 2, he'd topped over 1,500, and he keeps popping up. There's been several things that I see repeatedly pop up in terms of an easy story. So one of the things that always pops up is like this guy, of course, with the copies of Titanic. But another thing that always pops up, like every few months on a variety of outlets, is that your tapes are worth a fortune. There's always something that comes up that talks about tapes being worth thousands and thousands of pounds, and that is not always the case. It really is not always the case at all. So I'm always eager to get across that point that it's not the case that you're going to have something worth an absolute fortune in your possession. Some people will, of course, and that's awesome. Go for your life. But more often than not, the tapes that you may have got in the loft, maybe mouldy, maybe knackered. I know how they feel. But this dude, bear in mind, Titanic wasn't it released? It was released on two tapes. Yeah, you can see the double sets there. So they are. If he's got like 3,000 copies, that's 6,000 tapes. So you he's quite committed to this film. I don't get it myself. I don't get it myself because it's Titanic, and that's not something I've ever had much love for. Films that are that long, they have to be Lord of the Rings, or they're just not going to do it for me at all. But yeah, more power to you, dude. So, how could you not? How could you not just respect that? You got to love that. So let's move on away from Titanic because just the thought of sitting through that again is not great. This one is unavailable due to legal reasons. I didn't realize that. So this was a story on Central Oregon Daily. So fair enough. I'm not in Oregon. and it's about how VHS is going back in the same sort of way as vinyl. So that worked out well, didn't it? Let's try this one. So over on the Poke, we've got a feature here. People are sharing the old VHS covers that used to terrify them, and you'll never look at Showgirls in the same way again. To be fair, would you ever look at Showgirls and think this is something I want to talk about or revisit ever again? I know it's up some people's street, not particularly mine. I did see it at the cinema though. Let's have a look here. Oh, there's no stills there. Oh yeah, yeah, I know the ones here. There's there we go. So was that Oculus? Yeah, that was a good cover. That was a very good cover. Let's check out this one. What movie is that? I don't recognise that. Oh, Savage Weekend. Okay, I've seen that. I've not seen that poster for it. You've been chosen. You're doomed. Prepare yourself for Savage Weekend. So this is cool. I like it that they're sharing stuff that used to freak them out. Let's get some of these open in a new tab. I don't know what about stuff that used to freak me out. I used to really like a lot of images from the VHS covers. What would freak me out? I think like something like Carnival of Souls, or any ever seeing copies of Poltergeist 2, that always freaked me out as well. So these are on the go slow today. Yeah, but that was mainly because those films themselves freaked me out. Oh yeah, there's the holographic cover of Pinocchio there, where sorry, it's not holographic, it's lenticular. So depending on your viewing angle, you would see a different image. That was freaking people out. Scanners. So that doesn't freak me out. It just makes me think, oh, awesome. I loved Scanners. I loved Scanners. Anything with psychic battles in it, that's absolutely up my street. And Michael Ironside from Beyond. Again, not a particularly terrifying cover. Oh yeah, the dentist movies with Corbin Burnson were they set a lot of people's teeth on edge, if you'll pardon the pun, the rather obvious pun there. But that was a perennial rental. I would always see that in the video stores. It was always a good one to see on the shelves. There was a sequel, hence this one, The Dentist 2, and I love the tagline, "Brace yourself," but the image of the razors coming out of the gums, that freaked me out, man. That freaked me out. So, what else is on this list? What's the Showgirls thing they're talking about? Silence of the Lambs. See, Silence of the Lambs is an interesting one because it doesn't say anything really about what goes on in the movie. Just with that image, it doesn't tell you a lot about it, but it is a really atmospheric image. Very, very atmospheric image. Ghoulies. So, of course, this is Ghoulies. He said that if only I'd known, man, how goofy the film was. It was very goofy. And, of course, they wanted to get us drum up some publicity for it. So they stuck a ghoulie in the toilet. And it proved to be such a popular image with people that they ended up having to put the shot in the movie. See, it wasn't originally in the film. So they people that made it was the Charles Band people. I think it was an Empire movie. They got together and had inserted a shot of the ghoulie emerging from the toilet so that it was actually in the film. So that was a nice one to do. But yeah, it didn't really freak me out. It's just fun. But there's one that will freak anyone out because it's got Clint Howard on it. Now, I love Clint Howard. I think Clint Howard is one of the coolest genre actors we've ever had. I think he's awesome. Really, really cool guy. But yeah, Ice Cream Man, that freaked me out. The other poster for that I remember had like an ice cream with with eyeballs on it. It didn't have the picture of Clint on it. It just had the picture of the ice cream with the eyeballs on. He's got one there with a skull in the ice cream. Very crunchy. Jack Frost, that was a good one. Not to be confused with the Michael Keaton Jack Frost movie, which was out roughly the same time. This was a killer Jack Frost movie, which had a lenticular cover on it again, like some of the others that have been talked about had lenticular cover. So on one image it would look like a nice happy snowman, and the other it would be Jack, like that. But that was a cool one. I get it now. I get the Showgirls one. Showgirls used to scare me because I thought she was a big worm. That's perfect. I love that. That is absolutely perfect. Yeah, imagine if that was how she showed up in the movie. That would be so good. Hey, IRL Clips, how much is it to get a VHS graded? I honestly don't know. I'm in the UK, of course, so the prices will differ around the world, but I honestly don't know. It's not something I've ever done. I only ever get tapes to watch and enjoy and collect myself. I've never really considered having one graded. So I do have some mint tapes, and I had a load more mint tapes in my previous iteration of my collection. But now they're all kind of just a little bit dog-eared, battered like me. So I'm sorry, man. I do apologise. I don't know how much it would cost to grade a tape. She's a worm in that one as well. That would have made the film a lot more interesting. Imagine that. Imagine a worm trying to give Carl McLachlan a lap dance. Very sure. Someone's inserted her into Dune. That's fantastic. But yeah, that's a cool one. Let's take a look at the next one I've got here. So this is so cool. We've got here a piece from Orlando Weekly about the Found Footage Festival. Now, if you're not familiar with what the Found Footage Festival is, it's two dudes that collect stuff they found on home recorded tapes and low budget tapes and share it online. Follow them on Instagram. In fact, just today I watched about 30 of their videos in a row. They are so funny, unintentionally funny. Sort of the way that found footage was used in old vines in order to create memes. It's that sort of thing that are accidentally hilarious. So, yeah, Found Footage Festival, the duo of comedy writers Joe Pickett and Nick Pruer returns to Florida after a too-long absence, and they want to show you a tape or two. Operating in somewhat the same trash from treasure pop culture film tar pit as Everything is Terrible, the Triple F twosome present a freewheeling reel of frankly unbelievable but all true findings from the golden age of VHS madness. The show has been going for 20 years. The show they do has been going for 20 years, and that is quite an achievement. I do wholeheartedly recommend that you check out the Found Footage Festival. Look them up on Instagram so you can get a taste of what they do, but it's really funny, really entertaining stuff. Greatly recommended. Right, let's move on. See what else I've got here for you, my dudes. This was an interesting one. Martin Scorsese. This was published in March. So Martin Scorsese, of course, famous film director, famous critic of superhero movies and genre pictures. And, I'm not a big fan of him, but this caught my eye. So Martin Scorsese's secret life as an obsessive VHS archivist. So there is a lot of detail on these tapes. See, it's got the directors, it's got the times, it's got the titles all typed out beautifully. So, the director has donated over 50 storage boxes of tapes that show a devoted interest in recording films and shows from the 80s to the 2000s. So, this is the University of Colorado, Boulder's main library. So, these 50 storage boxes had all these personally recorded tapes that had been taped by Martin Scorsese, and the contents of them bring together a load of original broadcasts of TV shows and movies from a period of about 30 years, and that is fascinating. I love home recorded tapes. They are a really, really interesting idea. Because they are time capsules. They are genuine time capsules. Even if it's junk that's been recorded of a movie you don't like, or like a soap opera or something, there's value in there because there will be ad breaks. The ad breaks are gold. There'll be news stories that have been from the time. There'll be like music videos, cartoons, continuity. Hello, I've got a cat making the door creak. So those are a great a great thing, and it's a really interesting idea to be looking through ones by a really famous film director. So that's cool. There's a lot of this stuff to check out. All I've done is to go to Google and just put VHS and news, select news. So what you do need to be aware of there is a lot of stuff about the VHS movies, the horror anthology movies, and I totally understand that. That's fine. I get that. I get that. Why there's loads of that coming up. What I didn't expect is that there's a school in the States called VHS. It's its abbreviation is VHS. So there's absolutely loads of stuff about cheerleaders and American football players and stuff, and it's just like, okay, that's fine. So. This one here we've got on Kaiman.com. I've not seen this site before I was doing this research. This is news in California. VHS tapes making a comeback via a video store in California. And why not? Why not? There must be so many tapes in the States. So this is Burbank. And this is Be Kind Video, who are the friends of, are friends with people like the 80s Video Shop over here. And I just missed meeting the dudes from Be Kind Video. Literally, we moved in, we crossed over a road past each other. It was crazy. Hi to Be Kind Video out there. You're really cool. But it didn't really register. I just left the 80s Video Shop, crossed over the road to go to another store that Rob had recommended that's got like secondhand music in it and stuff like that. And as we crossed the road with these guys next to us, I thought, oh, that guy's wearing a Be Kind Video hoodie, and went on my way. And I was like, damn it, that is the guy. So that was a shame. We shall meet again. Be Kind Video is one of the ones that gets a lot of the press when it comes to VHS collecting in the States. So you'll see a fair few pieces online about Be Kind Video, showing off the store. It's got a great carpet. I love the carpet in there. Showing off the store, talking to the owners. They are really, really personable, according to all the interviews I've read with them. And it's just really nice to see this stuff being circulated. Something that's a lot less savoury is this one on Faces of Death. So, of course, this is on Fangoria, so it's going to be more horror-themed. And this is talking about how Faces of Death became such a notorious cult phenomenon. Sorry, can't resist that. So, of course, Faces of Death got caught up in the Video Nasties scandal in the early 80s, or throughout the 80s here in the UK. And, of course, it was revealed that like more than half, like 60% of the Faces of Death tapes are faked. And some of it is just stock footage that's already been readily available. But they are some of the most notorious and unsettling things you could possibly watch. Even though a lot of it is blatantly staged, there is something about the fact that it's all been gathered together that just kind of makes it really, really damn creepy. And as such, sought after by collectors. There is an atmosphere to these. There's like a rite of passage feeling to these tapes, and that is understandable. So I do have a boot of one of them that someone gave me with a German cover on it. So it was announced in 2021 that that Face of Death was going to be remade as a movie. And of course, that news garnered a lot of interest in the Mondo genre, where some stuff is fake, some is real, and that sort of thing. And it highlighted some of the weirder, creepier aspects of online culture, I think, because now Face of Death then was a notorious thing that was, it was seen as a damaging to society, and it was really, really awful. Hey, 59 Survivor VHS. I hope you're doing all right, dude. I'm literally doing this live tonight because I don't have time this week to get an edited video together, so I'm just doing it live this once. Although I may do it again because it's making me, it's keeping things flowing nicely. So it's good to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping by. But the Face of Death now, if you look at Face of Death and think of its how it is mirrored by some things in popular culture these days, where there were over the last few years, the last 20 years or so, there's been some really unsavory places online where genuine, like, awful videos of killings and so on were shared. Not mentioning any names of those, no chance. But they were out there. They were out there, and it was a shame they were out there. But it kind of makes me think of those sort of sites that were getting shared. I think that's the 80s equivalent of it. So finally, on this little live get-together, my computer's going to run out of battery. This is a really good place for that to happen. 1 second. Wow, you can tell this was planned ahead of time, can't you? So the last story I'm going to talk about tonight is this crazy one film from Milwaukee. Milwaukee sounds fun. How's Milwaukee? I've never been there. I've never been to the States. Cheers, dude. Hey, Stink-Ass Cat. What a great name you've got. So, this is the story of Miller Lite making drinkable VHS tapes. Drinkable VHS tapes. To bring back iconic great taste, less filling campaign. I really like that. Mainly because I like beer and I like VHS tapes, and putting them together is a great idea, unless I'd had many of them and then tried to play one. I don't think my player would appreciate that. So there is a lot of stuff around the internet lately about little weird stories to do with VHS. So I'm not suggesting you go and look it through year by year as I've done for the new book, but do go and take a look at some of the weird stories that pop up. Once you get past the stuff about the VHS movies and the stuff about the school with the same abbreviation, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. Things being archived, things being sold off, things being donated. There's the story about the lady who had the film, the recorder made about her after archiving decades of TV. And it's interesting to see that even now, the 8 years since the last player was made, 2016, since the last player was made by Funai, tapes are still getting talked about. VHS era is still getting talked about. It's not just people like me talking about it on YouTube, or the other marvelous people out there that do this, like VHS Mikey and so on, or Video Tasties. It's not just people like us doing it. These things are still part of the overall consciousness, the societal consciousness of anyone that's, that watched a movie. Even the people that never went to a video store are now aware of what video stores were like and hanging out in there, and how friends and family would spend Friday nights there arguing over movies. And there is something about it that lives on and continues to live on. And that's alongside content creators talking about it or writing books about it. My new one's out soon. Or putting magazines out like Lunch Meat and so on. It's just really cool to see that these things are still being talked about so long after they stop being made. And that's really inspiring. Anyway, that is my live stream for tonight. It's one I don't have to edit, so I'm grateful for that. I'm trying to keep up with these some live streams and some short videos for you while things are chaotic. There's some really cool stuff coming, though. On the 8th of June, I'm heading over to the Ice Arena here in Nottingham. It's time for this year's MCon. So the kids have got their costumes sorted out. It's this, what you see is what you get with me. This is largely as I am. So hope to see some people there. If you spot me there, if you recognize me from YouTube, please do come and say hello. It'd be so cool to meet some of you in person. Some more of you in person. I have met some of you in person, but it would be great to meet some more of you. But yes, until then, thank you very much for watching this live episode of Planet Hex. I'm Andrew Horn. I wrote a book called VHS Out My Brain. The sequel is out soon. I am trying to finish that at the moment. And I come and talk about tapes here on YouTube, and it is a lot of fun. And thank you very much for joining me for this episode of Planet Hex.